I'd like to call the meeting of the Port Arthur EDC to order. It is now 6:03. My apologies for the delay. May I have a roll call, please?
Beverly Raymond, Kayla Jacobs, Terry LaBeouf, Daryl Anderson, Morris Albright, Ingrid Holmes,
Here.
Melvin Getwood. You have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you. If you would stand for the invocation, Dr. Gilwood.
God of the ages gone by, the God of the present, the God of the future, we come before you with bowed heads and humble hearts. We have thanksgiving in our hearts, O Heavenly Father, thanking you for this beautiful day. Thanking you for the opportunity to assemble this evening to do the business of the EDC. We ask that we are able to do things in order and decent and in order, and the way that you would have things go in a harmonious way. Thank you for this day, O Heavenly Father. Amen.
And if you'll join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You've received copies of the minutes of the meeting of the October 14th special board meeting. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the minutes of the October 14th board meeting. Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. There being no speakers, we'll move on to the presentations. We have 3 presentations by 3 of our honorable council members. We will start with Councilmember Doneen Beckham on vacant businesses. Councilmember.
Thank you. Good evening, EDC. Thank you for having me as a speaker this evening. My name is Doneen Beckham. I'm the council member for District 3 in Port Arthur. I'm also currently serving as Mayor Pro Tem. The reason I'm here this evening is that I have a concern, as well as my constituents in District 3, with the large number of vacant properties, specifically commercial and retail properties. We have a number of newly constructed retail spaces. We have a number of vacant commercial spaces. And my concern is we're not doing enough to attract businesses to those vacant spaces. Case in point, right now we have 2 entities that are seeking a special use permit to turn 2 commercial properties into gaming establishments in District 3. One of them is on Twin City behind the Casa Olay restaurant in the Walmart parking lot. The other one is an older gas station. I think it used to be a Texaco years ago. It's on the corner of 39th Street and Twin City Highway across from Jack in the Box, Gramier Overly, and very close to Normandy Place Apartments. That one, because of the distance, might fail. They were supposed to be set for public hearing at our council meeting, which was scheduled for tomorrow. That's now been rescheduled for Wednesday, but I noticed on the agenda that they're not scheduled. So that's one of my main concerns, is that we are not doing what we need to do to attract what I would say legitimate businesses into those vacant commercial and retail spaces, and we've got these gaming establishments that are wanting to come in. So that's a real problem. I don't know that this is something that the EDC director could answer tonight, and I really don't expect an answer. What I really would like to see is for you, Mr. Stokes, to put together a presentation to bring to our next council meeting, outlining what your intentions are, what your process is, what your vision is for District 3 primarily. If you have time to do the rest of the city, that would be great, but I'm most concerned about District 3. I want to see a listing of all of the vacant commercial and retail properties that are seeking tenants, and what your plan is to attract legitimate businesses into those vacant properties. There are several developers that are putting in commercial spaces in District 3. They're doing what they can to attract their own businesses, which is great, but they need to partner with the EDC so that they can attract maybe larger restaurants and larger, big name stores into our area with some economic incentives that they can get through the EDC. So I would like to know what the plan is for District 3 with a listing of all of the vacant commercial and retail spaces that are available, and what your plan is to attract legitimate businesses to those areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is the city council willing to do sales tax refunds
Yes. Yes,
for those same type businesses?
sure.
All right.
Yeah, and that's why I say legitimate businesses. You know, we don't need any more massage parlors. We don't need any more gaming establishments. I don't care if it's a liquor store. We could put in salons. We could put in, nail spas and things like that. There's a number of retail spaces that would lend themselves to that sort of business. And if you drive around District 3, I mean, you see vacancy after vacancy after vacancy. There's a nice strip center on 9th Avenue that's vacant. There's 2 strip centers on Jimmy Johnson that are vacant. There's a restaurant. There's 2 restaurants that are vacant. One of them is on the edge of District 3, the old Chili's location on Memorial. It's been vacant for a couple of months now. Now we have homeless people that are camping out all over the parking lot. So that's what's happening when we have these vacant businesses. You know, we're attracting an element that we don't need. So I would like to see what the plan is. So, any other questions?
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you all very much
And,
for having me. I appreciate it.
I think we all agree that there is a concern of vacant businesses, and it has to be a collaborative effort with both
Absolutely.
the EDC and the city to do something about that.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm
Thank you so
sure
much.
Mr. Stokes will be looking at whatever he can to bring back to us to share with you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next is a presentation by Councilmember Doucette. He decided that he is not going to make his presentation tonight because he would create, by being here, a quorum, and did not want to do that because there were already 3 council members in attendance, quorum for city council. Well. And, Mr. Stokes, where's our attorney? Our attorney? All right. And then the final council member, Lewis, if you would, please.
Yes, good evening. Willard Bay Lewis, 2301 Lakeshore Drive, Port Arthur, Texas. I'm here to make sure that all of you all get a water utility infrastructure rehabilitation update and funding source. Have you all got that? Okay. And there was a template. This is a template that was submitted by the staff to raise the water utility rates. You should have a copy of that. Okay. Well, what happened was when this was presented to increase the water and sewage rate, it was voted down. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I voted against it because I got many phone calls. They don't want any more increase on their water bills and what have you. Even though the senior citizens senior citizens do not have to pay that increase, okay? And any future raises, the senior citizen will not have to pay that. The 7%, they don't have to pay that, okay? Now, while I'm here, we got a problem. I'm going to discuss the possibility of a 4B project for May ballot. And I wanted you all to be aware of that. I didn't know council could go ahead and do this without it, but we need to maintain a good relationship with you all because there are things that need to be done. The citizens are going to be benefited from it, okay? Now, 4B project, what's that about? You need 25, let's talk about 15 years. It's basically a 30-year project, okay? That's what this is, a 30-year project, and you was right. And it's approximately $1 billion, right at 800 million over 30 years. You mentioned that also to me, okay? So when I'm looking at, half of it, that's 15 years, 25 million per year generated about 3.5, well, 20, let me start over. City of Port Arthur gets $1.50 from sales tax. Of that $1.50, EDC gets 50 cents. And that generates $7 million for annually, okay? What I'm asking for help with our infrastructure is 25 cents. That 25 cents would generate $3.5 million. The debt service on $25 million we'll have enough funding. The debt service is $1.9 million. That's the debt service annually. And that'll give us some cushion for inflation, okay? Now, there's some options. We could say every 5 year, let's look at the 5-year options. And you know the citizen, we put this on the ballot to get it away from the water and sewage utility increase, they're gonna vote for that, okay? But I would like to split it. EDC fund some of it, and the water utility, the citizen fund some of it also. That'll split the baby, okay? For lack of a better term. Now, how you gonna manage that? You know, you can't do things to control the future board members, future council members. What I'm suggesting, every 5 years, if they approve the 25 cents, every 5 years, with the majority vote of the city council, we'll extend it for an additional 5 years. That way, you don't have to go back to the voters and spend all that money, because they'll pass it anyway. Now, we need to get started. And nothing can be done about that 25 cents that'll generate 3.5 million. Nothing can be done until we have a 4B election in May. But that's another option that you all may consider, and you have to check with your legal folks. Why don't you all loan us the first 3.5 million? We'll pay it back. We can work that out with the finance department. Loan the city council 3.5 million. And then we can go ahead and get started on the 25 million bonds. We can go ahead and purchase 25 million bonds and get started. But we can repay you after the mayor election and after we collect the money. Or if you all decide to, and it's all taxpayers' money, grant it to the citizens. It's y'all money. Y'all control it. Y'all manage it. But I'm just giving y'all something for food for thought. You could make it a grant, 3.5 million, until we won't have to pay it back. Well, if we have to pay it back, we'll have to pay it back out of future revenues. So, any questions? Now, how we get into this? All this year, dilapidated infrastructure, how did we get? We used to be the city of one, city of Port Arthur. Now we the city of Sabine. Sabine Pass is part of the city. We're managing all of that infrastructure that's outdated and everything. Lakeview, they consolidated with us. We got their infrastructure and outdated stuff. Unfunded mandate, we got that. Griffin Park, the same thing. All that outdated infrastructure, we have to maintain all of that. Did I name Griffin Park? Yeah, Griffin Park, Parish, Lakeview, and Sabine Pass. All of that outdated infrastructure has to be maintained.
And two.
What?
Fort Acres and Newtown.
Well,
No, really, if you're going to go down this road.
Port Acres, that was back in the 50s when they did that. I hear you. That's a part of it, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, yeah. But we're maintaining, that's the old part of the city of Port Arthur. That's all I'm saying. It was Port Acres and the old city of Port Arthur was just one city. And then we consolidated. And that was a township. That was an annexation of Sabine Pass. But the other three cities, there was a consolidation. What does that mean? Citizens voted among themselves to consolidate, and then Port Arthur citizens voted among themselves to accept it. That's what it means. But it's ours. We have to maintain it, and we need some help. And we cannot put all this on the water and sewage You got too many people on fixed income and limited incomes. So whatever y'all can look at this and help us out, we'll appreciate it, okay? Any question?
Thank you, Councilman Lewis. Beverly, did you have a question? Go ahead.
How old is the infrastructure? I understand why you brought up Pure Ridge and the other areas because they are older than some parts of Port Acres.
Right.
So how old is the infrastructure?
It's beyond 62 in the older part of Port Arthur. And I don't know how old is Pear Ridge, Lakeview, and Griffin Park. It's probably older than Port Arthur.
Has it been maintained throughout the years?
Ma'am?
Maintained, have the infrastructure,
We're maintaining all of that. We're maintaining what we can out of the general fund. But what I'm saying, the general fund cannot take on any more hits. We got enough money, $400 million to manage the city and manage the city's resources. And we got all kinds of emergencies and maintain enough money for 60 days to operate 60 days under emergency, just in case everything fails. You got a question? Okay. Go ahead.
Question. Okay, in event that we have a disaster like what we had for Hurricane Harvey or a hurricane, what are we looking at in regards to our infrastructure? Would it be able to hold up, or is this that bad?
It's just going to get worse.
Okay.
It's going to get worse. And when that's some serious, it's going to get worse. But it's already old, a lot of infiltration. And as we manage our resources and treat the water, we are losing 33% of the water that we are treating. 33%. Chemicals, inflation. It's not going to get any better. So we cannot continue to wait and put off. It's just going to get progressively worse. I heard some horror stories when I first got involved in politics. They was actually bypassing the sewage treatment plants. It was actually because they couldn't process it. Because of the old dilapidated clay lines, all the infiltration, all the rainwaters. They had to bypass it, and they put it straight in the canal. That's why the catfish is so big. Okay. What you got?
Understand, yeah, I talked to some people, and this 3-point-something million dollars.
The what?
3-point-something million
Yeah,
dollars.
3.5. That's what the
It's kind of like
25 cents will it generate.
kind of like once you get that, it's kind of like a Band-Aid, small Band-Aid. It's going to need more.
Wait a minute. Let me make myself clear. $3.5 million, that's $25 million annually. Every year for the next 15 years, what I'm addressing, and which is half of what we really need, it's $25 million every year. If you put it in the water and sewage department, you have to increase it by $2 million because of the inflation. So you have to add $2 million every year, additional $2 million for the inflation every year. It's not.
How much are you
That's
talking
to fix it. That's to fix it properly.
Right. How much are you talking about from the EDC?
How much?
From the EDC.
How much you been asking? I'm asking for 25 cents. You get 50 cents. It will generate, which generates $7 million annually.
3,500.
Half of that will be 25 cents, which will generate 3.5 million. We're just asking for half of it. And as time goes by, things get better, revenue gets better. And with that 5-year extension, it'll drop off. And with all of the plants and what have you, and the downtown development, they're gonna put the procurement office in the downtown area. So wherever they buy stuff, the services, the debt, whatever, we'll get the sales tax.
Go up.
We'll get the sales tax.
So,
and we've already done that. I've done that.
We have
Go ahead.
just a few additional questions. This was put on the agenda as a presentation, so there really should not be that much discussion. So I'm trying to give it a little leeway, but I'm gonna let you finish. You have a question. Then we're gonna ask that if this is a proposal that city council wants to bring to us,
Right.
we certainly, if the whole city council brings it to us
Yeah,
and wants
we
us to
bring
look at it.
Right, bring to y'all attention, and hopefully y'all
Okay.
can find
All right, but I think you had a question. I don't wanna-
something,
you don't.
some way of helping us out.
I was just going to say, So you're saying formally that this is what city council wants?
No, this is my proposal to the city council. We hadn't voted on this. We voted down the increase in the water and sewage bill. We voted that down. Okay? But that don't mean it's gonna go away. But we're looking at other funding sources. EDC is a funding source, the water and sewage department is a funding source. So we can split that cost if it come to that.
So it'd have to be voted here before it goes any further.
No,
Not tonight.
no,
Not tonight.
it doesn't have to be voted. It has to be brought here as a formal
Right.
request.
Good. It has to be a
Yeah,
formal process. I'm just making y'all aware.
I got you.
So we won't get off in
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
relationship. You know, we got enough of that.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember.
Okay,
We
all right.
appreciate you being here.
Okay. If y'all, anybody got
We
any questions?
appreciate all of you being
Anybody got
here.
any questions, just call me at 409-718-0586, and I'll be happy to come by and spend some time and go back over one-on-one. Doesn't bother me, okay? I'm retired, all right? Thank you for having me.
Thank you, thank you. And thank you, Mayor, for being here. I saw you over in the corner. No, he's not. He left. We'll talk about this. I'll tell you. We'll go on to communications. Mr. Stokes?
Yes, Madam Chair. There are two in your packet we want to bring to your attention. Coming up on the 20th of this month will be a TxDOT update luncheon. The primary keynote speaker will be our local TxDOT branch manager, who will provide an update on the several $1 billion worth of activity that's going on in the Golden Triangle and Port Arthur specifically. And then next week, the middle of next week on the 13th, will be the Contractor Business Development Group, monthly group, hosted by the Chamber. The Port Arthur EDC will be presenting the Texas Manufacturers Advisory Council as one of the keynote speakers. So we will be introducing them, and certainly hope that if your schedule permits, you'll be able to attend both of these events. Going back to the luncheon, we do have a table reserved for that.
You still have the floor, and so would you please give your report?
Certainly. Two items to bring to the board's attention. In terms of staffing, we have, in conjunction with the Human Resources Department, posted our marketing and insights position, first internally, and then after another couple of weeks, that'll be posted externally. And then we will, myself and Deputy Miller will get to the process of interviewing folks as rapidly as possible. And then in your packet, you have the October financial report. I do want to bring to your attention, we had a little glitch in printing. So you'll also see that it has the first quarter of last year in there. That just had the printer kind of run amok on us. But the main thing I want to call to your attention is the October report. We started off the year very well in terms of expenses versus revenue generated. I do also want to point out that what's not in your packet is the the fiscal year end report. Still working with our strategic partner, the Finance Department of the City of Port Arthur, to close out the fiscal year and get those numbers in. So hopefully, on or before your December meeting, we'll have the year-end report for your review as well. And as I mentioned to you back when we were doing workshops, your monthly reports will start to mirror that new formatting by the departments, if you will, which we think will still produce the city's standard report, but we think that the one where it's being giving you, revealing, showing you what we're doing on a, again, in italics department basis, will give you a better picture as opposed to the formatting that the city uses with their charge of accounts. So we'll hopefully get that going for your next meeting. And with that, Madam Chair, completes my report.
Any questions?
I have a question. I was looking at the finance report, And I see for travel and entertainment already for this month of October, I'm assuming, is $3,584, and that was going toward travel and entertainment.
Right.
Okay. So have they been brought to the board for approval?
Yes, all of that is under mine, and those were the two items that were brought to the board in September.
Okay.
Well,
Okay. Take care of that. Okay. I went here.
Any other questions? We'll move on to the consent agenda items. Agenda item.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Where did you put the staff's travelette in?
Staff's travel would also be under that particular section. When you start getting the sections broken out by department, it'll be a little bit easier to see who's traveling, who isn't. Those travels, of course, are approved by me. But I kind of suspected that Director Raymond's question was on the bulk, the lion's share, which was the $3,000 that was approved in September. Correct. Yes.
Right, but I mean, you have taken staff on a training trip recently, right?
Yes, and those numbers would show up too, but again, I just assumed that her question was on the lion's share of that number.
No problem. Okay, with that, we'll go on to consent agenda item number 1 to discuss for possible consideration the first and final renewal of the training agreement between PAEDC and Lamar State College, Port Arthur for the training of Port Arthur residents as Class A and B commercial drivers. Mr. Stokes.
Well, I'll make a motion. We need to. All right.
Was there any comments that you had to make?
No, ma'am. This one approved by the board last year on a 2-year basis, but specifically Director Albright wanted it brought back after the first year for continued consideration. So assuming that you're still pleased with the program, no changes in the numbers that you approved last year.
There's a motion and a second.
I have a question.
Okay.
On page 2, Mr. Stokes, agreement start date, agreement end date, effective April 1st, 2024, end date March 31st, 2025. Going off a year, we're only going 6 months. Well, we're not even doing that. I mean, are we back approving something, back date approving?
No, sir. Last year, we got a late start, so we were roughly 4 to 5 months in before I had a chance to bring it to you. So you all approved the 2-year agreement based on this scheduling. So this just reflects that second year of scheduling, but no, you're not back approving anything. You approved it on a 2-year basis last year, but to be brought back to you again. And so we're technically bringing it to you ahead of schedule to get back on the schedule that we're supposed to be on. If you remember last year, we were shy of a staffer, got a little bit behind, and now that we're back with staff, we're catching back up on the schedules that we had deployed originally.
All right, so is this going to come back on for April 1st of 2025?
No, sir, because this will take care of their semester program. They will not pick that back up until next September, which we would have already done our budgeting by that time.
Okay, all right. That's all I got.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 2. Mr. Stokes, I'll let you go ahead and read that so that if you have any comments, you can comment and then we can.
Okay, consent agenda item number 2 to discuss for possible consideration, approving the PAEDC's fiscal year 2024-2025 scholarship program and entering into a pre-employment agreement with Lamar State College, Port Arthur for the training of the scholarship recipients.
Anything you want to explain about that?
I have to wait till you bring it to the floor?
So moved.
But if you just want,
I'm sorry.
you really don't.
Okay.
Okay, but go
Because it's
ahead.
consent.
So moved.
Okay, may I have a second? It's been moved and second. Any discussion? The discussion is for the
I'm
board.
so sorry. Just a reminder, in the fiscal year 24-25 budget that was approved, one of the things I've been looking forward to is that we're doubling the amount of scholarships that will be provided next April and May, from 5 to 10. So that should allow us to obviously take care of more students than we have in previous years. And like I say, that was a budget item that was approved back in September.
One question regarding the language regarding, whereas PAEDC will establish a committee made up of PAEDC representatives and LSCBA representative. I had stated to the president, which he's not here, that we have always included board members in that process. So I have no problem with PAEDC representative, including 2 board members. Can it be
Okay.
added to this agreement?
Okay? Could I just ask, would you be more comfortable if it specifically says that, or can representatives take care of that long as it's understood?
By being a broad statement, representative can include anything and everything. So I would like it to specifically say board directors.
To including, okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Would anybody like to amend the motion to add?
So move.
May I have a second on the amendment? It's been moved and second to amend the motion to approve agenda item number 2. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Okay, I'm going to read it and then I'll give you an opportunity, Mr. Stokes, to discuss it, and then I'll ask for a motion. To discuss for possible consideration approving a summer youth employment program for fiscal year 2024 through 2025. Mr. Stokes.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Again, the primary thing that I want to point out is that we have budgeted for this fiscal year to increase the number of participants by a factor of 2. And so we will begin earnestly marketing the program after the first of the year, so that unlike last year where we kind of got a late start, and that's on me, now we'll be back on track and back on schedule to allow students to have plenty of time to understand what's involved in the program, fill out their applications, get qualified, and start to be chosen by the potential businesses that we'll be looking at, both the city of Port Arthur and, most importantly, external businesses in and around the city limits of Port Arthur.
Thank you. Let's get the motion on the floor.
So moved.
It's been moved and second. Discussion? Your question?
Okay, I was reviewing this today. I'm just coming back in, and I looked at this for like 15 minutes. And I know my specialty is the youth program and CAT scholarship, even though I'm not an educator. Career and technology program, have we looked into every school? I know Memorial have the career and technology program, but do our charter school as well as Sabine Pass, who will also be included in this program, do they have a career and technology program? Have we looked into that to find out that they have that?
Yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, Sabine Pass cut the ribbon on their new program going into this academic year. So their first crop of folks, if you will be the very candidates that we're looking at in the spring. As far as the other schools that you mentioned, the short answer is yes, but we need to, now that we're back staffed, just to investigate the robustness of the program to make sure that we're all looking at apples and apples and not apples versus oranges. So let me do that, specifically let staff do that, and let me report back on that. But you mentioned Sabine Pass, but yeah, their program did pass all the certifications, and we do intend to at least market to their first crop in the spring. Thank you for asking.
Every effort
It's okay.
I would like to include match participant with businesses in their field of study. Every effort to me is an excuse, oh, well, we couldn't find nobody to, so if you put every effort, that open up the opportunity of placing students in areas that is not in their specialty. And we gotta be very important, we have talked about this in years, we must try to place these students in their field of study. Not just here in the city of Port Arthur working at the police station or where the nursing program is good, or working at the city hall. You know, it may be a mechanic, it may be cosmetology. I mean, I don't know what all, and I would like to know the list. If possible, can I get a list of all the career and technology program that is available at these schools to make sure these kids are placed accordingly, because it have not been done in the past. Thank you.
Madam Director, I could use some direction in terms of language. Again, every effort, place them in their field of study. If, heaven forbid, we cannot, I'm assuming you don't want them to not go with some level of measure of internship.
I want us to put more effort. And that's the reason why I have a problem with it, because I don't feel we have put enough effort to make sure we put those students in the field of study. And that's the reason why I have a problem with their wording. Because we have not.
I think we're on the next topic. The topic we're on right now is for the 9,
It's for number 3 to discuss.
no, we're on number 2.
We're on 3.
We're on
Oh.
3.
We're on 3.
All right, well then, I've got a bunch of questions about that one. Never mind. Go ahead and finish, Ms. Beverly, I'm sorry.
We can word differently.
It's on Zoom.
It's on Zoom.
I'm
Is there-
here, Madam Chairman, can I help you with something?
So increase the level of effort. That's the bottom line that you're getting at. Increase the marketing, the boots on the ground in the schools, so forth and so on, making sure that the potential students are fully aware of the program. Okay. No, I'm with you. I understand. There's the language and also there's the action, and I want to make sure I follow the action to get the direction. So I have it. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Question?
Okay. Yeah, I would like a couple of board members put on this, but I want to go through on page 2, availability of positions. And would auto body repair qualify under this?
We'll have to do some research to make sure that it's matching workforce solutions, recognition of what's high demand jobs. I can't imagine that it isn't, but I don't want to say that off the hip. Let me get that report generated. We have, in order for us to be in sync with the law, we have to make sure that the programs are recognized as high demand. So don't take it as a no.
Hold on, just for the sake of argument. Or welding would be in high demand.
Yes, sir.
All right. Here's the problem I've got. Availability of positions. You go through it and then kind of down to the last setting. The setting for the participants will be businesses under close supervision of professionals who are both accreditation and practice in the student's area of study. If a student goes to XYZ fab shop, okay? The guy he's working for isn't going to be credentialed, okay? And credentialed is something that you're going to be coming out of college or something like that, okay? Now, if you will take, he's a certified welder, but that's not really credentialed. And I think that word kind of needs to come out because that's more of a professional setting. We're talking about a 2-year technical program, be it at the college level school level, whatever else, all right? And then, whenever you flip to the next page, we're going to come down by the end of the summer employment, the students should be able to, and let's go down to 3, gain an understanding and appreciation of the roles, duties, legal, and ethical responsibilities of a full-time professional in their area of study. Well, once again, that doesn't go along with my welder, okay? It doesn't apply. Then observe and gain experience in leadership, supervisor, or administrative functions and in human relations. Once again, that doesn't go to my welder, okay? Now, then let's go down to youth participant up to the business. Let's go down to evaluate each day's activities, interactions, and events. Prepare for a weekly meeting with the business supervisor, ask questions, and present constructive ideas. Plan thoroughly and in advance for all assignments. Consult with business supervisor when confronted with problems that cannot be solved. Consider staff as a member of the business network team. All right. None of those apply to my welder, okay? My welder's looking to gain experience. He's going to have a direct supervisor. And that direct supervisor is going to sit there because his boss told him, this is who's working with you this summer. Teach him what you know. And if we get him back next year, if he's going to be with us for 2 years, see if we want to hire. And that's the best outcome that we have. But nobody's going to invite him into the front office and go, okay, we're going to go over human resources with you and stuff like that. That's not what they're training for. Then, under what the business is supposed to do, we're going to get down to, I want to strike policies, administration, program, and facilities. Orient the participant to the community, including its political, religious, economic, social, and ethnic background. Evaluate and provide feedback on written progress reports completed by the participant, which, if we get the right guys doing this, if we put hurdles in front of them, they're going to say no. Because what I'd really like to see this year, between welders, I hope it's auto body and stuff like that, but that we're making phone calls and we're placing them in real world situations where we can get them jobs whenever they graduate, or they graduate from Lamar Port Arthur, but they're working their summers there part-time and stuff like that. I'd love to see this program really do what it's supposed to do. To where you come out of high school, they're going to take you on, or if you still need a 2-year degree, fine, but they're going to let you work part-time in summers for them. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And that's why I'd really like to see a couple of board members on this that know how to make the phone calls and everything else, because I don't want to hire this out to an outside firm or anything else, or just place them with the city. I want them with real potential jobs in what they're wanting to do.
So do you think that this document needs to be broader?
No, I think this document, I think there needs to be a committee meeting over it. It needs to be rewritten for the real world, that whenever the business agrees to it and we submit the paperwork that we need them to do to get reimbursed, that we're not making them hop through hoops with weekly reports and all this other stuff. They're either going to be hired or not going to be hired. Now, does there need to be feedback? Yeah, I would say halfway through. If they're not already fired, if they're just carrying them on the payroll because it's our dime, then yeah, I think there needs to be feedback, and especially at the end. And do I think the young man, he or she, should be interviewed at the end? Probably. I'd like to gain some insight into that, about the experience from, applying for it, getting their teacher to recommend them. But I'll tell you this, I think it all needs to be in by April 1st, so the phone calls can start. And it's almost like, I'd start pressing it in December. I mean, I would get onto this right away. So there is plenty of time.
Take that in reverse order, precisely why we have it presented to you tonight so that we can get back on that schedule. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for the feedback as kind of look at this as we are picking up from the past and molding it and getting it ready for the future. That's my task, that's new staff's task. So I'm taking in all of this feedback, writing it down, but I want you to kind of look at it as we're starting fresh, but we happen to have some history, as Director Raymond was pointing out in terms of effort, that we know we want to not replicate that. So you're giving good feedback about language, about what would work at one particular location versus what would work at another location. This is the very feedback that we need as we're refining these programs, as well as bringing new programs to you in the coming months, to make sure that we're getting a good return on investment. And that's what I hear you saying, Director Albright. Let's make sure that, one, we're taking care of our clients, which would be the students, and two, that we're getting a reasonable return on investment, which is placement, metrics, something that they can build a future upon. So I welcome that, and as far as language is concerned, you know, I can kind of hear Attorney Red. Some of this has to be brought to them because even though sometimes we'll think things like you were reading about the religious and all that stuff, somebody might tell us, well, it has to be there as a blanket thing. So let's get the language the way the committee would like it to be. We'll run it across legal. They will dot the I's and cross the T's. And then let's get this program, like you say, start advertising it in December so that by April, folks know where they're going to go. And we've made every effort to get them placed matching their particular background and what their focus is in school.
Thank you. Mr. Stokes, on the CTE piece, I think it would be advisable to talk with those persons who are in CTE, career technology education, because those persons who are in welding, automatic mechanics, and all of that, they have to come through a credentialed teacher in the classroom at the campus level. So that procedure is in place. I think what is needed, check to see what we can do from an apprentice standpoint, internship, because it may be some stipulations there, but the kids who are coming out of CTE in welding, some of those kids are coming out with an industrial-based certification, meaning that they can go to work, because we are in conjunction with Lamar, and we also have the credentialed person. We cannot host a welding program without having one who is credentialed. So I think that would, it would behoove us to take a look, because the state has identified the TEKS and all of that that you need to go through, and what you need and how many hours of an internship to get the industrial-based certification. We had, I think, 6 students to graduate last year with the certification where they can go directly to work. So I think it would behoove us, again, to talk directly to those people, see what the state has said and how the state has organized the curriculum.
No.
And I agree with, most of the time when you complete those programs, used to call Stillwell, you do finish with a certificate most of the time. And that's why it's so important for the summer program, because once these kids are already certified and they go into workforce, and hopefully once they complete the summer program, that the company will hire them because they're already certified as welders or what have you. Am I correct, Dr. Garwood?
Correct. As a matter of fact, I think Bechtel, what is it, Bechtel? Bechtel. I think Bechtel hired several of the students out of our CTE program this past year. And we have an agreement with them. And we just didn't have the space, but they want to come over to the Port Arthur ISD and provide a pipe fitting situation, provide all of the equipment and all of that. We didn't have the space at the time, but it's not a lost project. We're still working to do that, and we're very, very pleased with what they're doing.
That, I think the motion on the floor is to, consideration of approving a summer youth employment program for fiscal year 2024, 2025. All those in favor, please signify by, well, I think certainly there has to be review, but this is getting in place that we agree that we have a program at all. And then I think Mr. Stokes will take into consideration the comments of the board. So, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. May I have you on your mics, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. We'll move to non-consent agenda item, review, discussion, and possible action on the PAEDC Chief Executive Officer's travel request to attend the Texas Economic Development Council Board of Directors meeting from December 4th through the 7th, 2024. Is there any comment about the meeting you want to make, Mr. Stokes?
Only, Madam Chair, that continue to be my honor to represent Port Arthur on this board. Where I go, so does Port Arthur. And there's only a handful of communities represented on the board of directors. And, you know, like I say, where they go, so go those communities.
I have a motion to get this item on the floor.
So move.
Question.
Second, okay, now, discussion. Go ahead. You said you had.
I was wondering, Mr. Stokes, how many staffers are you bringing on this?
None. There's no one on staff that's on the board of directors.
Okay. And looking back at your travel requests, your transportation's $1,000. And I'm just asking a question. It's about 6 hours from here, and that's $1,000. So I thought we paid you a monthly fee for transportation for your vehicle. So plus mileage?
Yes, sir. And I meant to include a note on that. Yes, the board does provide that that particular item, and I appreciate that. Last month, I ran into car difficulties and had to have my car in the shop and had to actually rent a vehicle, and that's on the expense report that was approved from last month. So this was just in case, so that in case I do have run into that type of difficulty, I'm not going over what the board approved, but it is not anticipated that I will have to tap into that for the very reasons that you just articulated.
Said you don't have a company car, do you?
No, I have a car allowance.
Your personal car.
Correct.
And so if you have an issue with your personal
Have to
car,
rent
you
a
have to rent it
vehicle.
on at your expense,
Right,
correct?
and so that's just to
Okay.
make sure that.
Right. I didn't want there to be any misunderstanding that we were renting a vehicle for you. We're not, your mode of transportation, you would take care
Oh,
of.
if-
I did not want there to be any confusion about that.
Absolutely. And no, what I'm saying is if I don't have access to that vehicle, which is I get a car allowance for, then I rent a vehicle, which does not,
Impact us at all.
pardon?
We don't pay for that at all.
Yes, you reimburse me for the cost of the rental, but not for anything else. My reading of the instructions is that if for whatever reason I don't have access to my own vehicle, then the board provides a rental. It's no different from providing a car allowance. Now, if I've interpreted that incorrectly,
So you would not get a car allowance?
not in that particular case, well, the car is not available to me. So again, I don't anticipate,
I'm confused.
and maybe I am.
Do you get a monthly car allowance?
Yes.
So access to your vehicle, how you get back and forth, because we pay you a car allowance, is,
You know what, let me back up.
Okay.
Because I think
Yeah.
I'm confusing the matter. Director LeBeau's question was on transportation, and he went to vehicle. Well, this is 2 hours north of Dallas. So this is for airfare from here to Dallas-Fort Worth, and then the renting of a vehicle from Dallas-Fort Worth to the site. As I zeroed in on car allowance, and so I'm explaining two different things. This has nothing to do with my personal vehicle.
brought up about you
Yes,
had to
and-
rent a personal vehicle, and I didn't want
Long
that.
day, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
My bad.
I didn't want that confused.
Yes, absolutely, and
by
I would
anyone
have,
listening to think that we were paying
no,
for you to
no, no,
rent a
no.
car for your own.
And that's,
Okay.
that's my confusion, I
All right.
apologize.
All right, thank you.
So,
Go ahead.
okay, on Pottsboro, Texas, never heard of it before. It shows 6 hours from here. Is that correct?
7 if you count Dallas-Fort Worth traffic if you were driving.
Okay, so you're going to drive from here to there?
No, I'm going to drive from my home to the airport,
Here.
fly to Dallas. Yes, sir.
We're not paying for him to drive to the airport. We only
No, I
pay
ain't worried about
for him
that. I
to,
just
the 2
don't
hours.
understand you can't drive 6 hours, and it's
Oh.
going to cost us $1,000, and we paying you a vehicle fee. I mean, I guess, when you fly, you fly. That's all I can say. That just looks like it's a waste of money to me. You have we pay you $1,000 vehicle expenditures a month, and you're going to fly to Dallas from here instead of driving. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, and I do understand what you're saying. Regrettably, I have to
Recording
be at
stopped.
city council the day before, so trying to then turn around and drive that 7 hours was going to be difficult in terms of fully participating in the activity. So if it was just by itself, standalone, you're absolutely right. It's trying to make sure that I'm attending to the other responsibilities that are on the schedule.
I just want to take care of taxpayers' money. That's it.
Understand, but I'm sure the taxpayers also expect that I'm going to be at the city council meeting if we have items on the agenda, which we will.
Yes. This board position with this nonprofit, did you volunteer for this position?
No, in light of whatever you would ascribe you're doing, which I'm assuming you would ascribe that as volunteering, appointed, elected, and yes, I can always turn down the appointment. So from that regard, yes.
Okay, and what is the benefit to the taxpayers?
There are 785 economic development corporations in the state of Texas. Only 20 of those are represented on this board of directors. That board is considered to be the cream of the crop in the state, and that board is responsible for setting the direction of economic development in the state. I tend to prefer to have a place at the table because that place at the table also benefits the community of Port Arthur. Prior to this, there had never been a time where Port Arthur was represented on this board.
Okay. There's not 785, it's like 729.
I'll go with that, but the statistics that they handed out last week.
Well,
was
I'm going
785.
off I think the state of Texas site, not not the TEDC site. And we're actually not even listed in a report that's supposed to be given. We're not even listed in this group for the state of Texas.
And, okay, is there a question?
Yeah, the question breaks down to, out of the 700 and something, most, while there's, and I'll go with your 785 for the sake of argument, the 785 are not active. 785 is what was chartered whenever all this first started, and a lot of them loaded up with debt and then they ceased to exist except to pay off the debt. And off the report that I'm talking about that the state of Texas generates, it shows you on bar graph how many people they have actually employed and stuff like that, what their debt is and what their activity is. And after spending about 3 hours, I would be hard pressed if there was 350 or 400 actually active EDCs in the state of Texas with staff actually collecting sales tax. While they all have the ability and they're all chartered, they're not all doing it. And most of them are dormant.
So out of those 350, only 20 are represented on the board of directors.
Right, and out of that 20, what policy are you making to the state of Texas, not for this nonprofit, okay, because this is a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a state of Texas organization. It's not a governor's commission or anything like that. It's nothing more than a trade organization, all right? You're not telling me what lobbying effort that y'all are doing that directly affects the state legislative body whenever it's in session.
Just a second, Dr. K. Well, thank you for asking. As a matter of fact, I'm blessed to have a couple of staffers that are members of the TEDC's PAC. Not to get into the weeds, but in the last legislature, the 88th legislature, where some of us were blessed to attend Golden Triangles back then, there were 2 House bills to update and refine the economic development initiatives and incentive packages, House Bill 5, House Bill 4. Both of those were placed on the legislature by the Texas Economic Development Council. It was a nearly 10-month effort of lobbying and working with the legislature to refine those items. You mentioned the governor's office. The governor has a cabinet member that's in charge of economic development, Adriana Cruz. She is a member of the board of directors. So it isn't that the governor's office does not have input and insight into this overall organization.
All right, I think we have a motion on the floor to review possible action to approve your attending and travel. All those in favor, please.
Roll call vote, please.
Okay. You had a question, Beverly? You looked.
The question I have regarding the Board of Directors meeting, if you were selected by the TDC to be placed on the board, am I correct? Mm-hmm. And they don't distribute funds for you to participate in attending the meeting. It comes from your local EDC. If you're a part of a board, it looked like they would also give monies for you to attend this board meeting.
The organization underwrites everything else associated with the attendance. So they basically ask us to get there, and from there they take care of everything else. The paying for training, the paying for speakers, so forth and so on, like most professional development would go.
How will we benefit from you going to this board meeting, our local nonprofit EDC or corporation?
As I mentioned, whether it be 785, 729, or 350, not all economic development organizations have a place at that table, and therefore have an opportunity for those communities to be represented and have a speak into the future direction of economic development within the state of Texas.
Yeah, we'll call for a roll call vote.
Beverly Raymond, Kayla Jacobs, and Jerry LaBeouf,
No.
Daryl Anderson, Morris Albright,
No.
Ingrid Holmes,
Yes.
Melvin Getwood.
Yes.
That is 3 noes and 2 yes.
Motion fails. Move on to the receive completed evaluation forms and set a date for a special meeting of the board to perform the annual evaluation of PAEDC's Chief Executive Officer. Did the staff send out an evaluation tool recently?
Yes, ma'am, and it was handed out at August, September, and October, and then followed up digitally, just like all the board materials are sent digitally in those same months. And we can certainly send it out again.
Okay, because I spoke to Mr. Anderson. He said he had not received any evaluations back yet. Now, that was several days ago.
Okay, did the board approve the evaluation? Because I looked at it.
Evaluation tool?
The tool, yeah. Did the board approve the evaluation tool?
Yes,
By the form?
in 2023, ma'am.
It was the same tool,
Yeah, no change.
same tool we used in
Approved
20.
one in 2022, and y'all went to the simpler form, I assume. That's not the one that was used that would give more details in regards to, and that's something probably go private session, I don't know, to discuss this further. But I don't think that is the proper evaluation form to be used for the CEO. Even though I know it was approved in 2023, but I think we need to look at it again. Because his, okay.
Something else you wanted to add? Okay. Any comments about the tool?
I would like it different. I would like to put on a couple of different. Because I don't think that.
When's your evaluation due, Mr. Stokes? This month? We were late last year.
Well, we had one, Ms.
Were
Holmes.
we? Were we late last year? Yes?
We had one that you was involved in, and I think that's the one we used the time
Tool,
before
The
this.
current tool?
Yes. Not the one now, the one before
Okay.
is yours.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
But, Madam Chair, that being said, his contract period is,
Director Albright, would you mind lowering
Your
your
mic.
microphone? Thank you.
I believe his contract period ended around this time, but it's now been moved to March. So, you've got until before his contract comes back up for his evaluation. It is not up.
Do you mind responding to that? I prefer not. Is your contract?
Attorney.
I will leave that to the attorneys.
I need the attorney to respond to that, please.
An inquiry was made of them, and Charlie did respond that it was due this month, but I'll leave that to them.
And what exactly is the question? So I'll
The
make sure I'm
question
answering.
is, when is his evaluation due? Was the date on his contract changed when his evaluation was done in March, or did we retain the original date of the evaluation, of the contract?
Attorney Red, we cannot hear you.
Sir, are you responding? You have a way of contacting him? Mr. Red, are you there? He may be. Is he researching it? Because you're on the phone, we can't hear him, and we got a meeting going on. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Special meeting.
Yep, while he's researching that, we'll recess to our closed session, which we can't do without him.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry about that. And the question that you had of me, let me restate it, please, was whether or not Mr. Stokes's evaluation date changed because of the date, the actual dating of the contract signing. Is that correct?
Correct. No, well, whether, that's not really the question. The question is, his last evaluation was in March. No.
Yes, ma'am.
November. And that would not be a year from now. So his last evaluation was in November.
Yes, ma'am.
Wasn't approved till more.
I'm sorry, I heard what? The date, the timing of his evaluation should be controlled by whatever his employment agreement with the board says. So
Said the
if
timing of
board-
his
if-
evaluation has to be approved by whatever was set on the contract. Is that correct? Is that what you said? Sir? That you have an evaluation that's due now? Okay. Mr. Anderson is not here. There is some question about the evaluation tool, it seems. Mr. Getwood?
Yes, I think that there may be questions about the evaluative instrument. However, I think that it was voted on and approved. Voted on and approved, and we're into another year. You want me to?
Excuse me,
Oh, good.
get on the call.
Okay. Fine. Yeah, I think if it proves that the evaluation needs to be done the month of November, I don't think that we can go back. I don't think it's fair to go back and change the evaluation in midstream. He would have worked one full year under the evaluation instrument that he thought he was going to be evaluated over. And I think it would be disingenuous on our part to change the evaluation in midstream.
The question I have, number one, we had already approved the evaluation when he first was hired, was approved by the city of Port Arthur. So I'm trying to understand why in midstream, why was the evaluation changed in the first place? Because we had one evaluation that we had voted on when he first was hired on as the CEO. And that's the one that the board approved. And during the process of the changes of the board members, y'all came back and changed it to, I guess, convenience to what y'all wanted. I'm trying not to be technical, but.
I think if you look at the.
We agreed on that, we had agreed on that too. So why was the two changed? That's all I'm asking. And that was one that President, during the time that she served, that's the one she used, the city of Port Arthur used, and it was a tool that included his job performance as well as a job qualification description. That does not, the one we're using is no grading, it's no approved, good, bad, fair, or anything on it. So I don't know why the board approved it. If y'all want to go along with it, that's fine. But it's not a good tool to use to evaluate our CEO.
Mr. LeBlanc?
My thing is, I think it's just two on this board that would approved this new one, and the rest is all new. So I think we need to reevaluate this, all new board members.
And if we reevaluate, I think that it needs to be for the next year, not this year. I have no problems with reevaluation. We have a tool that has been approved, and it stood the mustard last year. The tool was based upon job descriptives, and that's the way you develop an evaluation instrument, based upon job descriptives.
One was more detailed than the second one. What's the process? Once we turn in the evaluation to the president,
The president, yes.
what he gonna do with it? I just wanna know the process.
It's my understanding he's going to tally up the scores. Well, or he can have a committee.
We're gonna have
You
to
wouldn't
look-
want
we gotta
him
look
to
at it
have a
again. It's not gonna
committee?
work.
I say we just set a meeting date and we tally it with us all there.
That's
I'm not
fine.
gonna allow the president to take charge.
That's fine.
I think that's fine. I have no
I think
problems with
that's
that.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
I have no
That's
problems
fine.
with that.
Let's set the date.
Okay. May we have some, would you all look at your calendar? Let's set a date for the meeting.
Like the finance department came and worked on the budget, I think we need someone from human resources here as a non-bias to tally.
I think we have a tool and we can tally them ourselves. I mean, we'll all be sitting there. I think we are a separate entity, and and although HR assists us with the things that we do, I don't think we need to include or create that I think we can tally them ourselves. I really do. I think if the board wants, all of us can be in the same room and tally it. Bring in your evaluation and we can tally it.
And if you looked at, did y'all look at the evaluation? It's no way you can tally. So that's the issue I have with the evaluation that whoever approved, because I wasn't on the board.
I think, so with that in mind, if we're all in the same room with the discussion of the evaluation, I think that is a tally.
No, and I'm fine with that. I've just got, somebody's going to have to tell me what the zero means as far as how it's weighted. And that's going to have to be answered.
What?
How zero is weighted because of the way it's worded.
Whoever approves it.
Do you all have a copy of the evaluation tool? And, okay.
No, but I mean, that's something.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and set the date,
Yeah, let's just
ladies
set the
and
date.
gentlemen, and determine what would be a good date to have the next board meeting. Throw some out there.
November 11th?
November the 11th. That's next Monday. It's a holiday.
That's a holiday?
Veterans.
Well, I'm willing to meet, and I'm a veteran.
Okay,
Boy Scout, Boy Scout.
I have something else.
okay. Oh,
12's good.
oh. 12th, Mr. Getwood? Okay, so November the 12th at 6 p.m. We'll come back with the evaluation tool completed, and we'll have a executive session to tally and score the evaluation tool.
But
Yes, sir.
please, I need an answer before then. Zero.
Microphone.
Microphone, please.
All right, I need an answer on what zero means, because it's basically a 1 through 3 right now, okay? But I can read zero two different ways, and so I need to know how it weights.
It's either not applicable or it's absolutely nothing. I mean, he's done absolutely nothing in that direction. That's how I would interpret it.
Well, in the way I'm interpreting it, I either don't have knowledge, and so it'd be a zero, but that zero wouldn't count against him.
It would if the total score is 100 and he doesn't get any points for that.
Right, but the thing is, I also don't think he should be penalized, because if,
I
well,
think,
no, it's like, how does he deal with staff? Okay, well, I'm not here whenever he deals with staff. So how do I evaluate that? Okay, let's say that that's one of them, okay? I don't know.
oh, you
So I
mean
put the
that you
zero
wouldn't know.
because I
see.
don't know, but does that count against him? Does that zero count against him? Or is it just doesn't help? Does that make any sense?
No, I understand what you're saying. If it's if it has a total score of 100 and one of the items has a 5 and you give it a 0 and I give it a 5, then I would give him a higher score than you would.
But the problem is,
You don't want it to count against him.
right, I don't want it to count against them if have to. What it means is I have no knowledge.
If it's your lack of knowledge,
Right.
if it's your lack of knowledge about how he does something.
Is the area on the evaluation where it states not sure or some kind of verbiage that indicates that you don't know.
Right. And
So it is on the evaluation form. It does have that area. I think it's 5 different ways you can answer that. And it's one of them.
So the unsure then would not count against him, but a 0 would. Does that make sense?
all right, yeah, I'll read it.
Okay. All right, at this time, we'll move to a closed session. In order to comply with the requirements of Chapter 551 Open Meetings Law of the Texas Government Code, prior to going into closed meeting, the presiding officer should make the following public announcement. A closed meeting or executive session will be held pursuant to the following sections of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code. 551.072 to deliberate regarding purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, Spur 93 Industrial Park, and 551.07 deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, Project Parkside and Project Waypoint. The items in the executive session will be discussed and acted upon in open session if there is any action to be taken. At this time, we'll recess to executive session. Okay, we'd like to call the,
Okay, we're going to go back on the record.
like to call the EDC meeting back to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Beverly Raymond, Kayla Jacobs, Jerry LaBeouf, Daryl Anderson, Morris Albright, Ingrid Holmes,
Here.
Melvin Gitwood. You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'll ask you to, I'll read the agenda item if there, help me. If okay. We're asking for approval to sell 5 acres of land at the industrial park in the amount of
$62,100 per acre.
in the amount of 62,100. 62.
$62,100.
$62,100.
That number has been verified.
Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Times 5
Per acre.
per acre.
Thank you.
310, 500.
Okay. All right. Second. It's been moved and second to approve the sale of the property in the industrial park in the amount of 62.1 dollars per acre. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move on to future agenda items or requested reports. Any future agenda items or requested reports?
Yes.
Mr. Alpert.
All right. Is the city attorney, is our attorney still on?
Yes, he is.
Okay, all right. A couple of these are going to concern him, not the first couple. Review, discussion, and possible action regarding monthly expenditures, including expenses under $5,000. With that, I would like the last 2 years of checks with their backup submitted, excluding payroll, and also discussion, possible action that the checks written also be included with the financial statements. Next one, review the CEO's time away from office that we are notified as an entire board. The next one is for the attorney. What has been the holdup on, well, I want to know like policies and procedures and the bylaws ready to vote at the next meeting. And the question's going to be, why is it taking so long? And I've got one more, but I forgot.
Just to, Mr., did you get all of that? Okay, all right. Your mic, please. No problem.
Ned is considering looking to getting a buzzer for the Port Arthur Community Credit Union. They're having ongoing issues with their customers having to walk so far to enter into the facility. So I understand that door need to be locked, but probably we can look at installing like a buzzer where they can buzz that person, that customer only, not anybody and everybody, that customer only into that building. So a buzzer for the Port Arthur Community Credit Union. Simple.
In the press building.
In the press building.
I had a couple of them. I had a future agenda review, discuss, and possible action regarding the status of the implementation of the CEO Stokes high-level strategic plan. Discuss and possible action regarding the status and implementation of the entrepreneurship program at the press building. Review, discuss, and possible action regarding the renewal of the $1 million for the 3-year given to the City Parks and Recreation Department with the option to renew for 3 additional years per Resolution 24-363. Was a memorandum sent. Mr. Stokes, I think, attached that for Exhibit A. We need that. And the last thing is review, discuss, and possible action regarding a contract with Mookie Marketing Group, LLC, for the administration of the Youth Employment Program.
Dates on any of this? I mean, like the renewal of the, what time period was that? Do you have a
The
date?
parks,
Mhm.
yeah, that was for 3 years.
Okay. What about on the marketing agreement?
Discuss and possible action regarding a contract with Mookie, M-O-O-K-I-E-S, Marketing Group, LLC, for the administration of the Youth Employment Program.
That's something we have going now or something we've had?
Something we had.
Okay.
Mr. Ed, I don't know if you can just answer this or if I need to
Yes,
put it
I'll
on the
try.
agenda. Say again?
I said I will try, sir.
We've implemented, I think, 2 new policies, but they haven't come before the board for approval. Does the board need to approve policy changes?
Well, depending on the magnitude, but typically, yes.
Okay, well,
That's
if
why
it's,
it would be as part of the policies and procedures manual. Now, if it's an administrative type situation, as you know, we're going to order paperclip A as opposed to paperclip B, that would not be something the board.
No,
would
it's, what's the new program for the first one that you presented? Yeah. Impact and incentive policy.
Yes, that would be something the board would need to approve, I believe.
Okay, and there's two of them, right?
According to you, so the question you asked, yes. I don't know. I'm not familiar with either one of them, sir.
Okay, well, I guess the two that I'm aware of, but if there's four, I mean, presentations on all of them and for board approval.
Yes, sir.
Policy changes?
Yeah.
I'm confused. I don't know what you,
Like,
we have new policies, that's what you're saying, that we're
Yes.
not aware of. Okay.
right. Well, no, I mean, it's been in your packets. I'm only aware of two, but it's been in our packets. Fine.
They haven't been implemented either, though.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Have they been implemented, Mr. Stokes? My question.
It's something that we need to review with attorneys. Attorney Zach did review the items, and his feedback to me was that they were operational. If that's incorrect, or whether it's operational or not, if the board would like to have it, be able to take a vote on it, that's not a problem. But the implementation was not without the board. In other words, we had direction from the attorney that I've approved them to form, they're operational, we can start using them. So that's according to the attorney. Now the board is saying it would like to have oversight over it. I don't think that overrules what Charlie's direction was.
That would be correct. If Charlie had determined they were operational, I was unaware of that. He and I don't always fill each other in on what questions we have answered or the advice we have given. And yes, that is a little bit problematic sometimes.
And if we can get some clarity on that, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any other questions?
I guess one other thing, and it was brought up in
Okay.
just talking about it, is Charlie Zach's contract. I guess we need to look at that contract next month and actually see who, when, and how is supposed to represent us here per contract.
You want to
Contract.
Any other questions, comments? With that, may I have a motion to adjourn? It's been moved and second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All right, have a good night. See you on the 12th.
Yes, ma'am. Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Thank you.
Are we to leave here?
You may. You're welcome to leave them. And if you see the envelope inside, you're welcome to take whatever you want to take with you inside that envelope. Yeah. But if you want to leave it and just keep it there, I'll keep it for 3 or 4 months.
Thought there